Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to begin by thanking the Honorable Minister of Commerce, the Honorable Minister of Housing, who spoke on our side, and there is some ambiguity on the other side in relation to whether the bill is supported or not. Must concede that I am quite shocked at the reaction that this bill has received. No, I'm sorry. The Honorable Member Alex Charlie, who added his indigenous voice to the debate. I want to recognize him as well. Mr. Speaker, I began by saying that this bill must be passed, and one of the imperatives driving the time frame within which the bill has to be considered is the AML-CFT framework and our obligations under that international framework. The other side is here asking for the bill to go to a select committee. They have amendments that they have proposed, etc. But, you know, the nation is watching, and it is still fresh in people's mind what this nation endured when they had a one-seat majority and we were in government, virtually begging every sitting in the National Assembly to get your support on bills that were crucial to the protection and preservation of our financial sector, and bills that were relevant and important to have insulated us from certain international sanctions. What you did, you callously withheld your support. You mocked at us, mocked at the people of Guyana. The private sector pleaded with you. The diplomatic community pleaded with you. CFATF came here and pleaded with you. Caribbean governments pleaded with you. The people of Guyana pleaded with you. You used your one-seat majority and you rejected all those bills and caused a series of sanctions to be imposed on the backs of the people of this country. And today you coming here to ask to do for us to happen again? You want it now to go select committee because you determined that you didn't get the time to read it? When you think we finish this bill? I heard all sorts of remarks being made about this bill drafted for friends and family. Mr. Romel St. Hill, please stand. Look at this gentleman. He is the head of the AML-CFT department in the AG office. He is the author of this bill. Stand, take a bow for a very well done bill.
So be careful with the liberties you're taking, Honorable Attorney General.
Sorry?
Be careful with the liberties you're taking. So two things, while you're angry, still refer to
No, sir, I am recognizing the effort of the principal drafter of this bill, and I'm entitled to do that. I do that in almost every...
Honorable AG, you recognize him through me. You just don't tell anybody.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am sorry. No. I am sorry for not recognizing through you. I'm sorry. But I want through you, sir, to recognize.
You already did. Continue.
Yes, that is the gentleman.
I'm shocked.
So that expert has drafted this bill. So all your allegations and contentions about this bill was drafted for friends and families are completely and utterly baseless. You think the Attorney General will give that gentleman instructions to draft a bill for friends and families? That is what you think of that gentleman? That is what you think of the professionalism of that lawyer?
AG, I urge that you speak to the Speaker, because all the yous are directed to me, and you refer to the members opposite as comrade or honorable.
So
I know it's late and you're angry and probably hungry.
So, Mr. Speaker, when the honorable member was making the contentions and making the wild and reckless allegations, he was implicating the integrity of the drafters of the Attorney General chambers. So I want them to hear, I want them to see who drafted the bill. So that's the first thing. You hear how they're excited? You hear, sir? I'm talking to you. You hear how they're excited? There's a reason why they're excited. There's a reason why they're excited. We know why they're excited, and they know too. There's a reason why. Kamraj knows why. Mr. Speaker, this Mr. Ramjatan, the honorable member, as part of his unmeritorious, unwarranted attack on the bill, also says that the bill will be a machinery for corruption, that this bill, jobs will be created for the boys. Mr. Speaker, this bill does not mention anywhere that it will be funded from a single cent of public monies. Not a single cent of public funds. So how will public corruption take place? I don't understand. But these are the things that they stand up and they manufacture on their feet, and they speak so emphatically that they can perhaps convince people listening that that is true. Mr. Speaker, they want, the honorable members on that side, they want the bill to go to a select committee. They want us to take into account amendments. Mr. Speaker, since July the 20th, they have had copies of the bill. Last night, I received a set of put together hurried amendments that they want me to wake up whole night last night to study, so that I will determine, or we will determine, whether we will accept their last minute scrambled together piece of paper calling itself amendments. Some hurriedly scrambled together thing that somebody told them, because the author of it could not have written it. The author of it could not have written it. Somebody wrote it for them and sent it late. And they want us.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to bring to your attention the honorable member was filming in the assembly just now.
Honorable members, let us not have to take a break and come back. Please allow the Honorable Attorney General to complete his wrap-up.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Standing order.
Oh God, I'm trying to get my standing order.
Point of order.
41, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Attorney General, continue, please.
Sir, so the bill was laid in this assembly since the 20th of July. That is sufficient time, Mr. Speaker. This bill can be read in 1 hour. 1 hour it can be read, and amendments can be crafted in another hour, proposed amendments. They sat and did nothing as usual. The incompetence is overwhelming. They did nothing until last night. They know they're coming here this morning, so last night they picked up the bill for the first time. And as incompetent people would do, decide that they would want us to consider amendments. That the time frame alone, forget the content, the time frame within which those amendments was hurriedly scrambled together qualify or disqualifies it from any meritorious consideration. That's the first thing. It came too late even to be considered. And then when one looks at the amendments, look at the amendments.
Mr.
Speaker, I have the amendments here.
Mr. Speaker, I stand on standing order 41-6.
And what it says?
It is saying here, sir, no member shall impute improper motive to any member of the National Assembly.
And could you tell me
Yes.
what was the imputation by the Honorable
Mr.
AG?
Speaker, earlier the Honorable Attorney General claimed that some information was put together on some piece of paper, and the author,
That's not, all kinds of claims are made here. All kinds of claims. Honorable Attorney General, please proceed.
Thank you, sir.
I could deal with
So,
all in the
sir,
public.
the amendments that are being proposed.
Honorable Attorney General, I just heard a threat from the honorable member. She had, honorable member, had her telephone on, her microphone on, and I heard it distinctly. The next time, I will know what I do. Go ahead, AG.
Sir, so the amendments as they are proposed are set out in a column, and on one side there are clauses for amendments, and then on the other side the proposed amendments. On the preliminary, there is the amendment to that is to insert Institute of Chartered Accountants of Guyana. So that's the amendment. Insert Institute of Chartered Accountants of Guyana. But the thing does not make sense. Why am I inserting Institute of Chartered Accountants of Guyana? I don't know. The amendment doesn't say. Now let me explain what a definition section is. A definition section, which is normally called a preliminary, it defines clauses, phrases, or words that are used in the bill. This one asks to insert the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Guyana in the definition section. In part one. I don't know where and why. Institute of Chartered Association of Guyana is not mentioned anywhere in the bill, but I'm being asked to define it in the definition section. That is the kind of mediocrity you want to keep people up in this hour in the night to consider. That is what you want us to consider. Let's take a next one. I just glanced it through quickly. Now here, Dr. Singh and sir, listen to this earth-shattering proposal. The earth-shattering proposal. So the quorum of the constitution of the authority has 5 members, right? So the clause in the bill says a quorum for a meeting of the authority is 3. The groundbreaking, revolutionary proposal is change it 3 to 4.
Yet another part of wisdom.
Now tell me, you want me to leave my baby last night to go look after this? That is what you want me to do? And let's go again. That is, Mr. Ramjatan, that is what you're fighting for, honorable member. That is the quality of amendments. So we heard a lot about developer. So let's talk about developer, Mr. Speaker. Now, the developer, Mr. Speaker, is specifically accepted from this bill because this bill defines what is real estate activity. Real estate activity is defined by clause 5 of the bill. It has several elements. Auctions or negotiation, sale, purchase, lease of real property. Not developing. Auction, negotiate, sale or lease real property. Advertise or hold himself out as being engaged in business of auctioning, negotiating, sale, exchange, purchase, real property. Directs, assists on procuring prospects or negotiations of closing transactions in relation to sale, exchange, lease, licensing of real property. And it goes on. Mr. Speaker, this bill does not accommodate developers, and that was an intentional exclusion. When you develop your property and you're ready to sell it, then you will be engaging in a real estate transaction, and then you will come under the bill. Oh my, what is so mysterious about that? Comrade Ramjatan, the honorable member, has read international money laundering into the absence of that provision in the definition. We have dissected, we have a real estate and broker bill, not a developer bill. We felt that it would be cumbersome, yes, and I'm looking at you in both eyes. We want to separate the real estate from the developer, and that's why we have a condominium bill. The condominium bill deals with developers, etc. This bill deals with the buying, selling, leasing, and licensing of real estate, not developing. And that's what the name of the bill and the definition of the bill captures that activity. It doesn't deal with cardiovascular surgery, so that's not here. You want me to include that in the real estate bill? The level, Mr. Speaker, of mediocrity that the people of Guyana have to endure from those who purport to represent them. Mr. Speaker, incompetence that is beyond. Look at this one. Look at this one. Look at that. Look at him. Look at him. I put you. The case put you in the opposition. The case put you in the opposition. We won the case, and you will stay there for a very long time. So, Mr. Speaker, they said, Mr. Speaker, they said when they filed the 2 petitions, they held a press conference at the bridge of the High Court, and they told the nation that in 6 months, the 2 petitions will put the PPP out of government. In 6 months, both of the petitions were dismissed, and the PPP is here, stronger and better than ever. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Mr. Speaker, I was accused, the drafter was accused, poor fella, doing an excellent job, was accused of plagiarism. So, Mr. Speaker, in the Caribbean, we have a common Caribbean community. We have a common Caribbean court. The Caribbean Community Secretariat, CARICOM, has a legal department, and they churn out communal regional statutes on a regular basis to be used as models in the Caribbean. They are encouraging all member states of CARICOM as far as possible to have common laws. The Caribbean Financial Action Task Force is a regional body. I said over a dozen times that this bill is influenced by the Caribbean Action Task Force directions. I said that the bill will be subject to an assessment by the Caribbean Action Task Force. What I did, what the drafter did, was to do what every logical mind would have done. Look at the established legislation in the Caribbean and borrow from it. Everyone in the Caribbean region are doing so. In Guyana, when you do so, by the superior intellects in this house, it is plagiarism. It is plagiarism, and they, the honorable members who are casting that judgment, are highly qualified in areas to determine who plagiarized, etc. But on the one hand, I was accused of plagiarizing the Trinidadian legislation, and then sections of the Trinidadian legislation, and I said in my opening remarks, in my presentation, that we borrowed heavily from Trinidad and Tobago, and we made adjustments where necessary to suit the Guyana situation, the Guyana reality. So when the honorable members are accusing me of plagiarism and they see one part of it is removed, they put it down and they say, oh, he removed this part, he therefore had an ulterior motive. So if you do, you're damned. If you don't, you're still damned. So you're getting accused of plagiarism, and when you don't plagiarize, you're getting accused for not plagiarizing. That's the level. That's the mentality you're dealing with here. That's the mentality that you're dealing with. Of course, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Ramjatan has invoked his old-hackneyed expression of control freakism, and it relates to the authority. Mr. Speaker, as I said, this bill receives not a single cent from public funds. Not a single cent from public funds. The only connection this bill has to the government of Guyana is that the appointments are made by the minister from nominees, and I will deal with the nominees. And a report has to be prepared by the authority, submit to the minister, which the minister has to bring to this house. But I don't know why we're bringing anything to this house. Why are you bringing anything to this house? Waste of time. Waste of time. But we are putting it in the law. We are hoping that a new crop of leaders will be elected. The people of Guyana will get somebody of greater vision and mental attitude. So, Mr. Speaker, the authority is to be appointed. The minister is only the appointing mechanism. One nominee, Mr. Speaker, one nominee comes from the Ministry of Commerce. One nominee comes from the Consumer Competitions Committee, a statutory body, a state organization, a quasi-legal judicial body that hears and determines consumer disputes on an act of this parliament. Apparently that, I mean, I know it is located at Sophia, but that doesn't make it political. So that a nominee comes from that body. A nominee comes from the Private Sector Commission. A nominee comes from the real estate agents themselves. So you have three objective nominees. My ministry has one politician as far as I'm aware, and it is me. And I am not going to sit there, a nominee of mine, and my nominee will be a lawyer. And he will go there, or she will go there only to ensure that the laws are obeyed. That is why the nominee of the Attorney General is there. Mr. Speaker, so where is the political contamination? Even if I am to put a political nominee and Minister Waldron is to put a political nominee, you have three persons who are untouched by politics. A nominee of the Private Sector Commission, a nominee of the Competitions Committee, and a nominee of the Real Estate Association. Yet, you see politicization. You see it where you have different vision. Everybody knows that. Mr. Speaker, they accuse me of not consulting. Apparently, I don't know where the honorable members live. I try to keep abreast with the news. I try to follow news both on the social media and in the traditional media. And Mr. Speaker, I had engagements with persons representing the real estate operators in Guyana. Now, anybody who are serious about consultation and who have ever done consultation in their lives will know that it is impossible. It is impossible to consult with constituent members of every single organization. You consult with the representative bodies. That is how civilized democratic societies operate. So it is true that I didn't speak to every single real estate agent. I spoke with the two bodies that were nominated by the real estate operators as their representatives. And I met with both of them. One ridiculous name mentioned was when I consulted with a realtor in Blackbush Polder. So ridiculous was the presentation. If I consulted the real estate agent in Enmore, or randomly they're calling names. Mr. Speaker, fortunately, I kept record of my consultations and they were published in the press. I have a beautiful picture here.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
The gentleman with the thick black hair is me.
Beautiful.
The handsome guy there is me. You have a whole room of real estate leaders. This was published in Newsroom. It was published in Stabrook News. It was published in Newsroom. It was published, yeah, because it doesn't publish what you want to read. It was published in Kaichor News. Look, Kaichor News. This is another picture. Look, they asked me for a close-up. Look.
Yes, there we go.
Look. Yes. I have another one. Hold on. Look. Look. And Mr. Ramjatan, the honorable member, stood there and told me that I told an inaccuracy in this parliament when I said that I consulted. That is the level of debate, Mr. Speaker. And I have the pictures to show of these are two organizations. There's two sets of pictures. And I had several meetings with them. These photographs only record 2 meetings. I have, Mr. Speaker, their contributions in writing. Look, Mr. Speaker, I'm not laying over anything for you. I have their submissions in writing to show. I'll circulate it if you wish. I will circulate it. I will gladly share the picture. But no, you can't go. You want to obey with my picture. No, I'm not giving you my picture. So, Mr. Speaker, I will lay over the documents, whichever they want, no problem. But the point is, Mr. Speaker, this bill is a good bill. It is long overdue. I heard the honorable member, Mr. Ramjatan, spoke. He has a problem with a particular exclusion, that it excludes owners. Mr. Ramjatan, you have to exclude owners. You want when you are selling your house, and hopefully you don't have to sell it. But if you are selling your house, that you have to go and get a real estate license, is that you want us to pass that law? That anybody selling their personal property, obviously we have to exempt that. Mr. Ramjatan sees that as a loophole for one of our, according to him, one of our corrupt cronies to keep selling his own property all the time. Yes. So that person can exempt themselves from the whole operations of the act. Have you listened to yourself as a lawyer? You listen to yourself? Play back that tape tonight and see if you don't feel a little bad about yourself. That's the kind of arguments, Mr. Speaker, that you have to endure at midnight. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe that no argument of any substance, whatsoever has been put forward, either to make out a case for the amendments that have been proposed. And the honorable member, for example, let me pause quickly. The honorable member wants us to define, one of the things that she wants us to do is to define public body. Public body.
We didn't even write these amendments also. Ask her to
Public body.
Ask her to explain why.
Now I'm told it is a typographical error.
It doesn't even. Ask her to
So
explain why.
what is it that you want? You want us to define private body?
Ask her to explain why.
So now we are told that the amendments, the proposed amendments need an amendment. So you see why we have to ignore it, Mr. Speaker? On various grounds. They lack merit, they were late, they were cumbersome, they were not intelligible, most of them don't make sense, they were trivial, frivolous, vexatious, and I can continue. And Mr. Speaker, the arguments raised about the bill itself are completely without merit. I wish I could have stood up here and tried to explain something of substance that was raised. But nothing of substance. The developer thing was a complete misconception. They want to include in the bill something that the bill doesn't contemplate. In the same way that the bill doesn't deal with gold mining, I didn't define gold mining. The bill deals with real estate and brokerage. So that is what is defined. And it caters for that. So, yes, as my honorable colleague behind me, we remain unmoved despite all the vociferous presentations that are that came from the other side. So, Mr. Speaker, it is with great pleasure that I bring this debate to an end, and I ask that the bill be read now for a third time.
Wonderful.